What is up, Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos. Welcome in to Coos's Corner post-game live stream, recapping, reviewing, reacting to West Virginia's 41-31 loss to TCU at home in Morgantown. So, Mountaineer Paul is supposed to be joining me here shortly. Probably won't be on here a really long time. Thanks to Todd Withrow for hopping on here with us. But, man, I don't know. There's so much to say about this game. I don't even know where to start, really. When you look at the first half, I mean, really, it's almost like the tale of two halves. The first half, it was the defense that couldn't stop TCU. They were struggling. They were like a sieve. Second half, the defense steps up and makes some stops, gets some turnovers, and the offense doesn't show up. I mean, it's like that's the story of this West Virginia Mountaineer team. It is just baffling to me. The clock management in the second half by Coach Brown, once again, was absolutely atrocious. You're down 2 scores with 5 minutes to go, and you don't hurry at all. You're taking your sweet time. Now, the onside kick, I thought was dumb. Now, it ended up working out, but I thought it was just really a bad decision. Some of the offensive play calling was baffling. Late, I don't know, man. I just don't know what to do or what to say. I mean, the game was close, closer than a lot of people thought it would be. But still, man, when you're that close in a game like this, you've got to put a team away. What's up, Big Dan T, channel member? He says onside kick, bad call. I agree, man. Totally agree with you. But yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. West Virginia had every chance to win that game and just couldn't do it. Sorry, guys. Paul's trying to get on here, and it's not working for some reason. Anywho, I'm going to see if I can share this link with him. See if this will work. Anyway, guys, I don't want to hold you up. Anyway, 41-31 was the final score. I was going to see if it would let me send the hold on, guys. All right. I'm trying to see if they got the post-game stats up yet because I want to look at those. Yeah, here we go. You look at first downs, West Virginia 26, or I'm sorry, West Virginia 25, TCU 16. Third down efficiency, TCU was 5 of 12. West Virginia was 9 of 17. So both teams did good on first down. All right, Paul's in here now. What's up, man? Oh, I don't have my headphones on. Hold on.
No, I don't either. 1 second, I'm going to grab my book.
Sorry, guys, this was a last-minute thing here, so I'm not prepared. This is bad, isn't it? What the heck? Hold on, guys. I had to get my stuff situated here. Now that should sound a lot better. Does that sound better, everybody? Can you hear me, Paul?
Let me get these going here. I'll let you know.
That's fine. But anyway, back to the stats. You've got third down efficiency. West Virginia was 5 of 12, or 9 of 17. TCU was 5 of 12. Fourth down efficiency. TCU 2 for 2. West Virginia 2 of 3. Total yards. TCU 494 yards. We didn't allow 500 today. What the heck? Paul, we just lost him. West Virginia 430 yards of offense, so a good day offensively overall as far as yards go. Passing, TCU 341, West Virginia 275. West Virginia TCU was rushing, TCU 153, West Virginia 155, so about even. Penalties. TCU 6 out of 6 penalties, 67 yards. West Virginia 7 for 50. And then each team turned the ball over 2 times, which that last interception that JT threw really, that was what they call a garbage time turnover. It really didn't mean anything. So, but time of possession, which this right here is, I thought this was really the right game plan to use. West Virginia held the ball for 36 minutes and 16 seconds. TCU only had it for 23 minutes. I thought that was the right game plan for West Virginia to try to keep the ball away from TCU's offense. But the problem was our offense couldn't capitalize on opportunities. You there?
Yeah. I had to sign for some reason with these headphones. I have to click out and then back in.
That's cool. I was just reading over the stats real quick. Were you able to hear me?
I heard you talking about the ball control issue. That's all I heard.
Yeah. I said I felt like the ball control, I felt like they used the right game plan to try to keep the football away from TCU.
Yeah.
Because TCU's offense has been so good this year, and our defense obviously has struggled. But our offense had so many opportunities. We had 2 turnovers and couldn't capitalize on. I think one of them we got 3 points. The other one we didn't get any.
Right.
So, in order for this team to win games, you've got to play 4 quarters of football on both sides, because we're not good enough on either side of the ball to be, I don't half-assed, I guess, the only way I know to say it. But Big Dan T, thanks for the donation, my man. He says, let me see if I can find his comment here and put it up on the screen. Sorry, guys. I got behind my comments because I was trying to get signed in and get my equipment going here. Big Dan T says, believe me, I'm upset. Bad D, but remember, this TCU squad has blown out nearly everyone. I don't like negativity. We did some good things, and I liked what Green showed out there. Yeah, man, there was some positive things. I thought Sam James played his butt off today. Was the best skill player on the field today, I thought. Reese Smith made a great catch in the end zone. That might be the best play of the year so far by any of our skill position guys. C.J. Donaldson, before he got hurt, was awesome. Unfortunately, to see him go down. So, Paul, I want to get your thoughts real quick, man, on the game.
Yeah. Talking with somebody about CJ earlier, we went back and forth on it, and I honestly thought it was a bad idea for him to carry the load like he did today. He's just not ready at this point in his career to do that. Mm-hmm. Being CJ, he's still got some baby fat. I was like to say, not really. He's a full-grown man, but you know what I'm trying to say. His body's not conditioned to be a 3-down running back and to carry it 25 times a game. He's just not there yet in his career. Right. And so I think that's why he's getting injured. He's just not ready for it yet. We'll see what Mike Joe can do with him in the offseason. Hopefully get him ready. But as far as the game, I'm extremely disappointed as usual. I'm sorry, Big Dan T. I've got a little bit of negativity, but it is frustrating, man. The clock management issues, the penalties in the red zone. I counted 3 today. A lot of that stuff. Our margin for error is so razor thin. We can't afford to make these types of mistakes. And also getting outplayed at every other position, all the way up into the quarterback spot. JT Daniels got outplayed today again. He hasn't had a 300-yard game since the Kansas game, which was all the way back in week 2. That went on today for another week, and I understand that he's probably who's going to go in except for him. I get that logic, but I'm just, this season's probably a wash, and I'm ready to see who the future is. I want to see who's going to walk out that locker room next year with this squad, because it's probably not going to be JT one way or the other. Maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. But if he's looking for the betterment of his career, I don't know. I don't know if playing with us again next year is the way to go or not, but we'll see. But just really disappointed. And I mean, I don't know if I'd be shocked if Neil Brown got fired or not this week.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Blue Hawk 71, who's a channel member, got to acknowledge his comment here. Appreciate his support here. Says Golden Blue Dude cut up some of his gear on camera. How stupid. I'm not going to call anybody out. I mean, that's his decision. It's his gear. My personal opinion, I spent my hard-earned money to buy that gear. I'm not cutting it up.
You say this. He makes pretty good money, so he can probably afford to do it if he's doing it.
Yeah, but
he does good for himself.
It's none of my business what he does. I personally love my Mountaineers too much to do that, but that's my personal opinion, and I'm not.
Was it Mountaineer gear?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Never.
He cut up his Mountaineer gear.
Yeah, I thought you meant like his like equipment that he films the show with. Or something.
I didn't see it. I've had 2 or 3 people posted on here.
Yeah, that's not how you do it.
I don't agree with that, but there again, I'm not here to bash anybody. What they do on their own channel.
Right. Absolutely.
Got another super chat here. Blue Hawk 71. Thank you, my brother. Let me see what he says here. He says, we hung in there with the number 7 team, and this was not a VT. I disagree with you, Paul. Sorry, I can't listen to you. Well, Blue Hawk 71, I appreciate your support, but Paul has a right to his opinion, just like everybody else does. I mean, he loves West Virginia just as much as you and I do. I love you, brother, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. And he and I are both content creators, and our job is to be honest and real with you guys. Like I said, I appreciate your support in the super chat, and like I said, I'll show it up there and read it, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. The acronym for denial is don't even know I'm lying. So you can pretend like something isn't something, but that doesn't change the fact of what it is. And that's just the truth of it all. We're a bad football team, man.
Yeah.
You don't like it, I can't help you. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like anything I do. I'm here to support Coos today. You guys are his people, and so I'll try to be as respectful as I can in that aspect, while still trying to remain true to my own opinions.
John Kelly's a good little supporter of mine. He says one of those hats was a gift. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this anymore because I don't really want to buy. I'm not here to bash anybody, or I should have even posted that comment. But anyway, let's move on. Blue Hawk 71 says, here we go with the firing of Neil Brown. All he asked was a question. He said, will Neil Brown get fired? That's all he said. And as you can see, Paul, a lot of the fans or Blue Hawk 71, a lot of the fans are disappointed today. I know you're trying to be positive, and I appreciate that, but not everybody feels that way. We're not going to get into an argument here, but anyway, I want to ask your opinion, Paul. What did you think about the second half where West Virginia's down 2 scores now, and they were running the offense, calling plays, just taking their good old time, getting plays in, no hurry up at all. And that's not the first time that's happened this year. They did the same thing in the second half of the Texas game, and we were only down 18 points in that game. It's not like the game was over. We outplayed Texas in the second half, but yet they acted like the game was over already. What do you think about that?
I was in shock. I think what it is really. It's the same pressure bust pipes, and these kids are operating off of what's being told to them. This isn't the pros where a quarterback can take over a drive and get no input from the sidelines.
Yeah.
There's input between each play. And so they're being told what the tempo is, what it should be, and I don't know. It's a frustrating thing to watch, man. The way I look at it, though, is at the end of the day, pressure bust pipes. Neil Brown's bursting under all this pressure. You can see it on the sideline for 2 weeks straight now.
Yeah,
he's getting a little out of character even for himself, and it's unfortunate because he's such a likable guy, man. Nobody wants to see. It's uncomfortable for me to watch. like watching him go through this.
Yeah,
It's not something that I want to see, but
I agree.
it's happening right in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
He is folding under pressure right in front of our eyes. And if Shane Lyons can't see that he's not the guy, Shane needs to go too. That's just the truth of it.
Yeah, Ferris hops on and says, "Hey, y'all, sorry you lost." Thanks, Ferris. I appreciate you, man. Ferris has been a loyal listener to my channel here for a while. He's not a WVU fan, but he always comes on and supports me. Appreciate Ferris, man. Appreciate everybody on here, man. TCU would get stomped by Alabama. Yeah, probably so. I would like to see him make the college football playoff. Which brings up a question, actually. Do you think today's game, even though TCU won, do you think they looked good enough to impress the committee on Tuesday when they put out the first CFP rankings?
Probably not. They're calling them the cardiac kids, the version of the cardiac kids this year.
Uh-huh.
I think this was their second or third game in which they've had to come back from some sort of deficit. So they're going to get bit by that. They play Texas or somebody like that. That's really good. I don't know. Somebody's going to get them, or they could take it all the way that way. As long as you win football games, I mean, if they go undefeated in this conference, they deserve it. But I don't think they will. So I think they'll probably be on the outside looking in. Probably the first two out. They'll be right in that 5 to 6 range.
Gotcha. J.C. Atkins, who's another loyal listener, he says, "Howdy, Coos. Okay, WVU was expected to lose the game. We all expected the loss. Given that the team held its own in a game it was sure to lose, I'm not unhappy with the performance." And the sad thing is, I'm not either. And I think that's the problem. We've gotten so bad, we're now happy with barely losing to top 10 ranked teams, guys. Think about that for a minute. Our team has reached a point now to where fans are actually happy with close losses.
Apathetic.
We're getting apathetic, and I don't think that's a good place to be. I really don't.
It's where Tennessee was until this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's a sad. I don't like being that way. I mean, yeah. As I was watching the game, I was getting emotional, and when Malachi Ruffin got the interception, I jumped up and was yelling, and then it's like it's almost, but in the back of my mind, I was expecting them to screw that up, and I hate being that way. Because I love my team, man. And I saw on Twitter, a lot of people said they hope we lose today, so Neil would lose his job. And I don't agree with that sentiment, but I understand it, and I don't judge those people for feeling that way. But I personally don't have it in me to root against them. I can't do it.
No, me neither. I
So
don't hate him at all, man.
I do think Neil needs to be replaced, but at the same time, I don't want to see him lose games. You know what I mean?
Even if it's just Graham Harrell.
Yeah.
Even just for the end of the year, Neil Brown needs to be removed from this equation. So these kids, there's a lot of things that would solve just if he was gone.
Yeah.
But as far as one thing I wanted to say, was that JC? Was that the name of the last commenter?
Yeah.
Just one thing I would like to throw out there to you is just keep in mind, I talked to her name is @Coach Melissa, and she covers the Horned Frogs. We talked last night, and that roster that we just played, we beat last year, and they've only added less than 5 players to that roster that are actually starting. So they're not so different than the team we beat last year. Just wanted to put that out there.
They have a different coaching staff. It's basically the only difference.
Right.
That's the only difference. Different coaching staff.
Yeah.
We don't have a different coaching staff.
Exactly.
Big Dan T, thank you for the donation, my friend. He says, to be clear, when I say negativity, I mean get stupid. Facts are facts on the field. We did not get it done. Most of the big plays were called back by us killing ourselves. Hope CJ is good. Something has to be done. Yeah. Big Dan T and I know Big Dan T, and I know he's a realist. He does lean toward the positive side, and he's not one of these guys to get on here and bash people, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, he's also realistic. I just don't believe in living in a world where everything's soda pop and candy all the time, man. I mean, it's my job as a YouTuber and a content creator, and you're same as Paul here, is to get on here and be honest with you guys. That's our job. If I get on here and try to hide that, make myself happy, I'm not really being genuine.
Yeah. People pleasing, man. It's not a good thing. Yeah,
No,
I lived a large portion of my life. Actually, you and I have talked about this on the side, how
right.
we've both struggled with people pleasing in the past. So it's not something I do anymore. I speak my mind. I don't suppress those feelings or emotions. I think it's liberating to talk about it,
Yeah.
and come who may, and don't stay who don't want to stay.
Yeah. Nathan Bounds, thanks you for the $1.99 super chat, my man. Appreciate the support. There's no comment there to go with it, but I appreciate it. Duke Silver Surfer, friend of mine, good friend of mine from my high school days. This guy actually hooked me and my wife up. So,
Oh wow,
he says, I think
he's
Brown's
got big
fate.
clout.
Yeah, I think Brown's fate was decided before the outcome of this game. I think so too, probably Duke. But I think this game, and I don't know what this means, by them keeping it close. And the team did show up for him today. The team played hard. They put forth effort.
Right.
I didn't see any lack of effort. I do want to mention this. The only time I saw lack of effort, and I don't know that it was lack of effort or just a brain lapse, but when JT fumbled that ball, the ball hits the ground, and they all just stop.
Yeah.
You're taught from the time you're in Little League football all the way up, you play till the whistle blows, and they didn't do that. JT did, but the rest of the guys didn't. And I saw him getting on him about it a little bit afterwards. Cameron was kind of on him, and he was telling those guys, I don't know, I couldn't read his lips, but you could tell he was telling them guys, you got to go after that ball. Play the whistle, So that was a bad, us losing that fumble cost us points. Matter of fact, I think that's the time when they scored on the very first play from scrimmage, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a big, and I don't think that was necessarily lack of effort as much as it was a brain fart, so to speak. But
right.
But I do think, but what I was getting at is the fact that the team came out and played hard for him today. Does that mean he, maybe that keeps him from getting fired Monday or tomorrow?
I don't know. Sorry. No, I thought you were asking the question. No. If I look at it through the lens of Shane Lyons and I'm in bed with Neil Brown, yeah, I'm going to try to look at any kind of thing at all that I can pitch to whoever I'm pitching this to, whether it's E. Gordon Gee or the donors, whoever it is that I'm trying to tell, just give them a little bit more time. Yeah, I'm going to say, look how they fought, look how they played. Yeah. I mean, that's just what it is. But I wanted to ask you something, Coos. I don't know if you saw this. I'm a fan of Tom Brady, right? And how he is even after the game. If that dude loses the game, he is visibly sick to his stomach. Yeah. And he probably took it home with him. I like that in a quarterback. I want a quarterback playing for this university that is like that. I look up on my TV and JT is laughing, not even 5 seconds after the clock, with all those players dapping them up. I'm not saying don't shake somebody's hand, but man, just the apathetic, that's exactly what I thought again. Maybe he's even good. Not that he's not a competitor, but I don't know. I want a quarterback like Pat Whitehair. I know those don't come around too often. That will play injured, and I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting, and that very well could be.
I don't think he doesn't care. I think he's just. I heard him in an interview one time. Actually, I don't remember if it was here or an interview he did outside of here. I don't remember because I've watched several interviews he's done. But he made a comment one time about how, or it may have been somebody else talking about him. But either way, the comment was made that he works hard. He studies film like crazy. He cares, but at the same time, he doesn't put. He understands that football is a game,
right?
And he treats it as such. And he doesn't let wins, losses, bad plays, good plays, none of that affect him and his attitude.
Some of that can be positive, yeah.
Yes, I mean I look at that as a good thing. And you could see today, though, a couple of times he got aggravated. That play when they didn't go after the ball. There was a couple of times he made a bad throw, and you could tell smacking himself in the helmet, or he was visibly today, honestly. Which this is the first game I've watched on TV. Well, no, I'm sorry, I watched the Texas game on TV. Most games I've either been at or had to watch on my phone or listen to, which it's harder to see stuff on. But today I was able to pay more attention to after the play was over and see more things. And I've seen him more visibly frustrated today than I have probably at any time during the season. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you ever been playing ball or shooting pool and you just barely miss something, that feeling. Yeah. I think that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And along with some frustration that, Now, listen. That's saying that the teams take on the identity of their coach is the real thing,
Yeah.
and Neil Brown's identity probably recently has been somewhat jittery, nervous, under a lot of pressure. So that I think the team's going to take on a little bit of that too.
We're partially responsible for that.
Oh yeah.
No, we're not. Actually, you know who he is for not performing his job the way he should be. But here's a question from Paul Gee. It says, JT looked in capital letters, real bad in capital letters today. Why did they not throw Nico in last week when they benched JT? Any idea? Paul, you and I have talked about this offline a little bit. I think their game plan is that anytime they have to take JT out, I think Garrett Green's going to be their guy. I don't know that Garrett Green would be the number one guy if JT was not the starter. But I think they trust him more to come in a pinch hitting situation, so to speak, than they do the other. And my assumption, now this is strictly an assumption, but my assumption is because he's done that before and he's the most experienced guy on the team, so he would probably be able to handle it better. So, you know, that's my assumption. But I've heard through the grapevine, and Paul, I think you and I have talked about this, that if JT would get hurt or not start, that Nico would likely be the starter. Have you heard that?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I'm one of the first people I heard say that. Anyways, I talked to a couple people about this. I think that's what's going to happen for sure. Like if JT were happy to let's say he got hurt at the end of the game, God forbid today, Nico would prepare and play next week as in like if he would have got hurt during the game, like you said, pinch hit situation, then he would probably come in a pinch because obviously Nico is going to need at least a full week to prepare for a game where he's thrown into it. And obviously he needs more time than that, but that's all you get.
Right.
I did think JT played better today than he had played, especially at Texas Tech and at Texas. But still, you know, he's still not raising the level of the players around him, like Pat White did, like others. You know, I know that's asking a whole lot, and we're spoiled with some of the players that have been through here. But, you know, he made the one throw to Reese, and that's really the most memorable thing of the day that I can remember.
Yeah. Blue Hawk 71 is a channel member. Thank you for your support, Blue Hawk. He says, I think JT lost the game more than the coaches. That's a fair, that's a fair. I don't know that. I think it goes both ways. I think there's enough blame to go around, but that's definitely a fair comment. That's a fair opinion there, I think. Don't you, Paul?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I thought that's what he was just upset about me saying earlier. Was he?
No, he was complaining about wanting to fire the coach.
Oh, okay.
He's Blue Hawk 71 is adamant that Neil Brown shouldn't be fired, and he gets up. He doesn't like people saying otherwise.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought I was talking about JT.
No. He was
okay. Cool.
Big Dan T, another comment. He says obviously he disagrees with Blue Hawk. He says several throws that people are putting on JT was the young receivers that have not played the most, not JT.
Right, and I get that, Big Dan T, which is why I think my video last week I said it's not really a JT problem. It's that the skill set that he provides as a fairly immobile quarterback is not good for the type of receivers we have. We need quarterbacks that can really scramble, create like a Russell Wilson type deal. And we have those guys sitting behind him, and they would have a chance to do the scramble drill, possibly get open.
Yeah,
I think it would help our offense. I don't know that for sure. I'm not a college coach, but just a guess.
Jody Guthrie says, just keep Brown until the end of the season and save money because it isn't going to change anything at this point. I guess that's a fair statement. The only advantage there would be to firing him now, and I don't know if it's much of an advantage, would be that you can kind of get a head start on your coaching search, but you can't really interview if there's anybody you're looking at who's coaching another team, you can't interview them till the season's over anyway. So I don't know if it really helps you a whole lot to fire him now. I don't know though. It could affect recruiting. I'm talking myself out of my own opinion. If you fire him early, see with this when they move the signing day up to December 15th or whatever it is, that's what's created all these coaches getting fired so early in the season is because these teams are trying to get ahead of it so that when they go out to recruit, the recruits know who their coach is going to be, or at least know it's not going to be that guy, right? So
Yes.
it helps recruits make a decision, because a recruit can commit to a coach, and then if he doesn't get fired until December, and they got to sign a letter of intent in just a few days. Or in the case of Dana Holgorsen, they had already signed an entire class almost, and then he leaves. So
Right.
it changed everything,
Right,
And those
which is
guys
why
get
the
stuff
new
done
rule
for a
got
coach
put
they
in.
didn't sign up to play for.
Yeah,
Uh,
which is why they put the new rule in. If that situation happens again, they can immediately transfer now.
Correct. Now,
You know,
when they first created that early signing day, I was a fan of it, but I didn't realize what it was going to create. I actually think
That's
now
wild.
they need to move it back to February and just keep the 1 February signing day. That way you give all the coaching stuff time to, the coach hot seat stuff really gets hot and heavy right after the season's over in early December.
Yeah.
You give all that time to play out, and then these guys can make decisions. They get 2 months to make decisions, right? Instead of having to make it on the spur of a moment, or even have their coach change after they've already signed a letter, and then they might not have it. And then if they want to go to another school, their option B may not want them anymore because they've already filled their slot. See, I honestly think the early signing day makes it worse for the kids. That's my honest opinion. I don't know if that's, what do you think about?
I got a question for you, Coos, about that.
Yeah.
But to your point, yes, 100%. If you're going to fire a coach, you got to do it before week 9. That's the bar that most people set nowadays. Is week 9 is as late as you want to get into a season if you know that guy's not going to be your coach.
Yeah.
One way or the other usually by week 9 anyways.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, you at least get a chance to salvage the recruiting class. And if not, you know who you got to bring into the transfer portal.
Right.
And a lot of times if you pick up a coach that's having success at another program, maybe his ex-players are going to be some of those guys, you're thinking along those lines. But here's my question for you. I just was thinking about this. If Neil, I think Shane Lyons could do a whole lot of good or bad by just releasing this statement. Hey, we're not going to fire Neil Brown. Or, hey, things are up in the air. Just release some kind of statement, because if he's not going to fire him, why don't he just admit it now?
I think he will end up getting fired. That's just my honest opinion, based on what I've been hearing from multiple people. When is a whole other question.
Right.
I don't see us making a bowl game. We can only lose one more game this year and still be eligible for a bowl game. And we still have to play Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas State, Iowa State. I honestly, and I hate to be negative, but I honest to God don't see us making. I don't see how. I don't see us winning all of those games.
Yeah.
Barring some miracle. And if we don't make a bowl game, he's done, in my opinion. It might be done anyway. Bullhawk 71 said he agrees with you on that. I think he was talking about the comment about JT not being serious enough, because then he follows it up with he at one time on the sidelines he was laughing. Yeah, he does that a lot.
Yeah,
I've seen him laugh after throwing interceptions before, because he just doesn't. He that's him, man. That's his personality.
Yeah. I released a tweet
like that too. That might be why they get along so well.
Who?
Graham. I've heard that Graham Harrell's very laid back too.
Yes. Yeah, he is. Now Nico is the opposite of that. If you ever get a chance to watch the Bishop Gorman game where he threw up on the ball and all that stuff, he's like a Tim Tebow type player who's just goes crazy. I like that. I like a guy that just has the will to win like that, which is what Max Duggan had today. Sonny Dykes came on afterwards and said, man, he gritted us to that win. He was injured, and he had the will to win. Max
Duggan, do you know his story?
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah, he had a heart problem. He thought he was going. They didn't know if the kid would ever play football again. He could have died. Playing football could have killed him, and he didn't know, because he didn't know he had a heart problem. Doctors found his heart problem. I think it was a heart problem. He had to have a surgery and everything to correct his heart problem. He comes back and plays. Loses his starting spot this year, his senior year. Loses his starting spot. the guy in front of him gets hurt, and he comes out and he's absolutely balling out, getting his name thrown in there as a dark horse Heisman candidate, man. I mean,
he's not a dark horse. He's in it.
It makes me want to root for that kid. I mean, obviously, I wasn't rooting for him today, but I want to see that kid succeed, man. That's the kind of stuff I like to see as not as a WV fan, but just as a sports fan. That's the kind of stuff I like. Blue Hawk 71, thanks for super chat, my friend. He says, I think it is time for green.
It's a change. You know, it's honestly, I would like to see him more at the slot. He looks better in space than a lot of our wide receivers. Although he did hurt us, he's not used to carrying the ball in these situations, and he went out of bounds right before half. That was a bad decision on his part.
Yeah.
But
he says, or Nico. He said he'd be okay with Nico too.
Yeah.
Paul Gee, man, I really appreciate this. He says, I really like your channel, Coos. You are calm even during the storm. I admire your spirit. Well, man, I can get on here and throw stuff and act like a moron, but is that really benefiting anything? And two, that's just not my personality. At least not on camera anyway. I may do that behind closed doors. I'm not going to tell you I don't, because I do get mad and frustrated when I'm watching these games, man.
Yeah, my dad, man.
But I'll tell you, I've punched a few couches. I've smashed my fists on some tables. Said a few words on the fans on this show, huh?
I've broken a few fans.
Yeah. Hey, when I was younger, man,
I
was like in my early 20s and even in my mid and late 20s, I had a terrible temper, man, and I would act like a freaking moron. But I'm 42 years old and got 3 kids now. There's not really any place for that in my life. But anyway, but yeah, see a lot of people on here wanting change. JT looked bad for most of the game. Do I think JT Daniels is our problem? Absolutely not. But do I think he's underperformed what I thought? He has. He has not performed to the level I thought he would perform. You look at the Pitt game and the Kansas game, I'm thinking, man, this guy is going to be an absolute star. And for whatever reason, from then on, he's went downhill a little bit. Now, it's not all his fault. Some of it has been his supporting cast. But, man, the great quarterbacks, the Tim Tebows, the Pat Whites, the Jameis Winstons, you think of some of the greatest college quarterbacks to ever play the game, the Vince Youngs. What did they do? They elevate the play of their team. And I'm not saying he doesn't do that, but
he does not do that.
I don't. Is he better than Jarrett Doege? Absolutely.
Yes.
But would our record be any better with Jarrett Doege this year? I don't know that it would be. We might have lost a Baylor game, maybe, but maybe not. Yeah. I actually had an Ohio State fan comment on a video earlier today. He said, as someone from the outside looking in, he said, I actually think Jarrett Doege was a better thrower than JT was.
He needs to go have his eyes checked.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree.
I don't agree. Have his eyes checked.
My point to that was, I think we may have overhyped him a little bit, man. I heard a lot.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of. I had a few Georgia fans. Well, I don't know my Georgia fans
and USC fans.
A few non-WVU fans. I'll just say that because it wasn't all Georgia and USC fans that tell me it was like JT ain't that good, or he would have won the job back. And I was like, nah, man, he was hurt. He was hurt. Maybe there was something to it. I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, you try to come up with, because he's our, at this point he was our guy. So you try to come up with any kind of logic as to how could a guy that walked on win the job over him, even though Stetson Bennett's talented, and it turns out he's probably going to get drafted. Let's not get that twisted. He's a good player. The credentials the pedigree that JT Daniel had, only come around once every so often. He was Andrew Luck type of player coming out of high school, or Arch Manning, the same kind of height. So when you think of it through that lens, he certainly hasn't lived up to his, the expectations, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And maybe it is the players around him.
I'm sorry. Patrick says, once again, West Virginia fans, although you were disappointed, you just played the best team in the Big 12 down to the wire. The Big 12 is tougher this year than it has been in years, top to bottom. I get that. That's why I'm not, overly upset. But that was back to my point, Patrick. I feel like I should be more upset than I am. I feel like the West Virginia teams we had in the past, we would not have been happy losing this game. But we're almost getting to the point where we're getting accustomed to losing. And that's not a good place to be as a program. You know what I mean? But I do appreciate your positive outlook as somebody on the outside looking in and bringing some levity to the situation.
Yeah.
Robert Borkert, who's a member, says, do you think anything has really changed in this game? I don't.
Yeah.
Not really, because I expected this to be a close game because it was at home. West Virginia mainly has struggled on the road this year. So what I was expecting to happen, I thought we might actually win today or at least play really close and then go next week and lay an egg at Iowa State. That's what I'm expecting. We'll see how that works. I had a super chat down here from Paul or from Blue Hawk. I see his name used to be Paul, and I can't get used to his new name. Blue Hawk 71 says, forget the coach. I thought we would win today along with Iowa State with OU. Now we need to have someone else to get to 6 wins. Who could it be? And Blue Hawk 71 now, in his defense, he was an adamant supporter of Neil Brown up until I think last week maybe. But he's just really now coming around to agreeing with us.
How do you defend the clock management today? There's just no defending it.
I don't think you can. I mean, even the announcers were talking about it.
And it's not the first time.
I think I saw Golden Blue Dude on here.
He texted me a minute ago, but I haven't had a chance to see what he was saying.
Terrible play calling again, and the defense is non-existent. Oh, absolutely. And we touched on that earlier, Golden Blue Dude. We said that some of that calling 2 fades in the corner of the end zone. I have no issue with calling one of them. That throwing it to Bryce Ford Wheaton in the corner, that's fine. But when Caden Prather had a DB covering him that was as bigger than he was. So, in my opinion, you call something, call that play where JT scrambled out to the right and threw the pass over to Justin Johnson. Call that play right there. Yeah. Call something. Call a slant instead of a fade. I mean, run the ball. Do something. I thought that whole series. Now, some people online had an issue with JT running the ball up the middle. I actually didn't mind that call because it was unexpected. And I thought they called it. I thought the time they called it wasn't about, because I think it was on second down. I had no issue with that call. Now, some people did, and that's fine. But the play calling in the second half, I thought was a little. I thought they got away from the running game too quick, and then they tried to go back to the running game when they're down 2 scores with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah,
and they tried to call two running plays in a row, and I'm like, man, what are you doing?
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
The offensive line played really well for the replacements we had today and everything. I was fairly impressed with what they did.
What's that now? Can you repeat that?
The offensive line, I felt like, being that we had 2 injuries to Doug Nestor and James Committer, both of our starting guards, Tomas Rimac and who was it? Jordan White that came in and replaced the other side. They played really well today for the most part. JT got hit and sacked a couple of times, but running game, we had a 100-yard rusher that usually bodes well for us. JT had time to make throws for the most part.
Well, and 2 of those sacks, I thought
his fault.
JT could have gotten rid of the ball quicker, and he didn't.
Yeah.
One time he had Sam James wide open in the flat. All he had to do was flick it out to him, but he didn't. He tried to run it.
And the play to Prather at the end on 3rd and 13. Yeah. When he had to step up to avoid the pressure, and he reset his feet, and he just missed Prather high. I took a picture of it. Prather had his receiver boxed out on his left hip. All he had to do was hit him. I know that's easy for me to say sitting here. I get that 100%, but that's what they're supposed to do. Like.
Big Dan T says, at this point, let's assume that no coaching change happens. Do y'all think that JT Ford Wheaton comes back, or do the coaches want them to? I think JT will now, because I don't think he's not going to get drafted. I don't think the way he's playing right now. Ford Wheaton, I think, is already coming.
I think this is his last year, isn't it?
Who?
Is this not Ford Wheaton's last year?
He actually has one more year of eligibility left. but he's commented a couple different times in press conferences that this is his last year. So I don't think he intends to.
I hope it is. I do. I'm sick of seeing him, dude. I'm sick of seeing him. Listen, Sam James played better today, but they both have disappeared throughout 4 seasons now. I want to see new skill position players.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Golden Blue Dude says, I freaking cut up a couple of West Virginia hats. This is unacceptable. That's your prerogative, brother, but I'll be honest with you. I think cutting up a West Virginia hat is unacceptable, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I could have used one of them.
There's people, yeah, really. But it's your hat. Do what you want to.
I understand, man.
They're still my team.
Yeah, I'll die with them.
First, you can't compare a multi-dimensional QB that can extend the plays and run like White or Smith to pro set lead legs QBs like Daniels or Daggy. MB's pass attack offense ain't working. Well, and that's kind of been what Paul's been kind of. Paul has been. I don't want to say ranting, but
no, I've been ranting.
Yeah, about for days. We run an RPO style. Now it's an air raid, but we also incorporate the RPO in there. An RPO to me, and I've even heard experts like Jed Drenning and people talk about this. An RPO is designed for a running quarterback to where you have the option of handing it to a running back, pulling it, and the quarterback running it or throwing it.
Right.
If you've got a quarterback that doesn't run, you're automatically eliminating one of those options. So why even run it? So I don't understand. To me, they're not running an offense that is – they're not bringing players in. The scheme they're running doesn't fit the personnel, I guess is the easiest way to put it, to me.
Right. When Dana was here and we had Will Greer at quarterback, who did have some mobility, but he wasn't the kind of quarterback you're going to run that kind of offense with where, like Pat White did, you show the run, you pull it, and you go. And so he lined him up in the diamond formation. He would get in the pistol with the running back behind him so that he could show the ball in these play fakes. Do that for JT because the whole pivot with two hands and nobody believes he's going to hand it off. He might actually score. He might actually score if he handed it off one time.
Right. Maybe Grayson Burke says maybe he laughs after an interception as a way to try to let it go and move on. Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. And that might be just how he deals with adversity. Because I did hear an interview one time where he talked about that period of time where he had to sit out for so long because where he's been injured so much. He said there was a time where he struggled with mental health because of that, because he was losing what he loved in football. So maybe he's decided to try to reset his priorities in life, and it's for his mental health sake, he needs to be more relaxed. I don't know, whatever it is, he is what he is. It's his personality, and whatever works for him. I just want to play a little bit better. I mean, that's you know what I mean. It doesn't really matter to me either way. To be straight up with you. I guess I'm a moron. You're not a moron. I wasn't talking about you personally.
No, everybody handles stress differently, man.
Do you do you throw things, Golden Blue Dude? I don't know that I've ever seen you throw things. Maybe you do. I don't know. I didn't mean to. I wasn't pointing fingers when I said that. I was just meaning myself. If I did it, it would look like a moron.
Yeah. I used to, this has been a few years ago, but I used to go and lock myself in a room for days after we lost a game.
Yeah.
I used to get that depressed over it.
Yeah. Golden Blue says, when it comes to West Virginia football, I always act in the moment. I've always been that way. That's fine, man. Like I said, I wasn't passing. My intent wasn't to pass judgment, brother. I was talking about myself.
I'm making chicken and dumplings to make up for how I feel.
I'm trying to find the super chat here. There it is. TRM Music. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. It says, most realistic replacement for Neil now that Hugh Freeze is locked up? Question mark. Says, thanks for all you do, Koo. Some of the best content out there. Thank you, man. I'm going to give I ain't going to give away my opinion because I'm going to do a video on it. So I'll leave my thoughts to myself. So, Paul, I'll let you answer that question.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about realistic replacements,
Yes.
it's hard to say. Haven't done a whole lot of research into the entirety of the coaching community and what's going to be out there. There are still coaches that are going to be let go that are good coaches that are still haven't been fired yet. David Shaw is somebody I'm a big fan of at Stanford who has had 5. He's had 2 or 3 12-win seasons, 2 11-win seasons, a 10-win season while he's been there. And overall, he's had 7 seasons of 8 or more wins. And Stanford's a much harder place to recruit than West Virginia. Don't know how he fits culturally. That would be the big thing there with him.
Yeah.
But if I had my way, I guess I would say Matt Rule. He just lost the Carolina Panthers head coaching job. He's coached in the Big 12 before. He's had Baylor as close as they're ever going to get to a playoff. So he would be my guy.
Yeah. Matt Rule's first on my list, but I don't think it. And I said he wasn't realistic, but the more I think about it, I don't know that it's.
Well, he's from around
totally.
Here.
Yeah, I don't think it's totally out of the equation. But I just think Matt Rule's at a point in his life where I think he's going to want to end up back in the NFL one day. So I think if we bring him in, we're at risk of losing him in 1 to 2 years anyway. So I don't know, because I think he has higher aspirations, and I don't mean that to belittle our program at all. But we can't afford to pay the same thing as an NFL team or what some of these blue blood schools are paying. And now that he's tasted that kind of, he's tasted that already. He's going to want to get back to that. You know what I'm saying?
He's going to get that kind of money. Yeah. He's going to get probably $8 million range, $9 million.
I don't think West Virginia, as far as I know, cannot afford to pay that. Robert Borkert, thanks for the super chat, man. $2 super chat, and he's also a channel member. Here's his comment. He says, if you do change coaches, make it a Power 5 coach, not a Group of 5 coach. We've tried that; it hasn't worked. I agree.
Exactly.
My worries are that's all we're going to be able to get. I'm just going to be frank with you. I don't know, because of what we pay. The market for paying coaches is skyrocketing right now, and I don't know that we can pay that. I'm just going to be honest. So, any coach out there that has a chance to go to a Nebraska, or I'm trying to think of another big time job that's open.
Wisconsin.
I'm sure with that Big Ten money, they're going to be able to pay a lot of money. I just don't know.
They're just a great program,
Yeah. Georgia is putting on Florida right now. Yeah, on Biden's UCF's beating Cincinnati. I've seen a couple of people mention that in the chat too.
Yeah, that's not a big surprise.
Nah, I'm not. UCF. I actually was surprised UCF lost to East Carolina last week. I thought that was upset. Hey, Talkers Pit. Talkers Pit. Glad to see you on here, man. Glad to see you doing better, man. I hope you're doing okay. I've been missing seeing you on here. Somebody mentioned Dan Mullen as the coach. I don't know, man. I have mixed feelings on that. He does have Power 5 experience, but he also hasn't done that well. So
I would say Mississippi State, right? They're similar to West Virginia as far as the type of talent you're going to get, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I don't know. They're an SEC school, so maybe they can get a little bit better talent than us. I don't know. He was at Florida,
and he was still. Well, yeah, he was at Florida, but he was at Mississippi State first.
Right. Good point.
And that was where he had his better years.
Right.
I just wonder, he was always around that 8-win threshold. I want a quarterback that's our quarterback. I want a coach that's going to come in here and get us back to where Rich Rod had us. And I know that maybe that's never going to happen again, but that's what I want, and so that's why I dream of getting guys like, I think in my head, I'll try to spin things like, if we were going to get Deion Sanders, how would we do it? We could say you could be the first black coach in the history of West Virginia football, and we'll pay you $11 million a year. Of course, we can't do that, but I like to fantasize about that stuff.
Yeah, Lord Raiden, he's a successful listener of my show, watcher of my show. He says, "Really, you're planning on WU getting someone else a successful P5 coach? Did you fall and hit your head?" I don't know who he's talking about, to be honest. He was. I think he was talking about this. Hot shot offensive coordinator at P5 is not a bad idea. People have mentioned Kenny Dillingham from Oregon. Some people have mentioned TCU's offensive coordinator, Lincoln Riley's brother, Garrett Riley. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mentioned him the other day.
Yeah, I'd rather go with a proven P5 coach if we can get one. I just don't know if we can. Todd Withrow says we can get Tom Herman. I'll be honest, I don't want Tom Herman.
Why?
From what I was doing an interview with a Texas guy the week of the Texas game, and he said Tom Herman got fired from Texas not for wins and losses, but because he couldn't get along with anybody. The boosters didn't like him, and the players didn't like him.
I'd like to research that some more before I.
Yeah. So just based on that, I mean, he's a Texas guy, so I'm assuming he would also know more than I would.
Right. Geography, he wouldn't know anything about our area.
And geography might be an issue too. I'm not saying he can't coach football now. I think he did good. He got Texas into the Big 12 title game. He's a good, and he did well at Houston.
Really well. 12 wins at Houston.
So, I mean, he could probably win here, but, I'm starting, that whole Matt Rule thing. Would it be such a bad thing if Matt Rule came here for 2 to 3 years, got our team back to winning 10 games again, and then left, but he would leave our program in a really good spot? Think about that.
Right.
So
I would much rather be in that situation.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad deal. I mean, look, Dave Aranda's Big 12 title was won with Matt Rule's recruits last year. Let's not forget that. All those NFL players that Baylor, I think it was 6 guys that Baylor put in the NFL last year, or 9 guys. It was 6 or 9 players. Every one of them were recruited by Matt Rule. Think about that.
I'll tell you what. If I was going to pick a coach that wasn't a Power 5 coach, it would have to be Jimmy Chadwell, because when have you ever heard of Coastal Carolina being good in the past? Name a time.
Never. They weren't even on. I didn't even know they had a team. I'll be straight up with you.
So he built that program. Nobody built it before him. Like, I can go back to Drinkowitz or Satterfield or how many people you want to talk about Appalachian State. It's just a place you go and people are successful there. Yeah. Similar to Troy. They've had several coaches jump from Troy to the Power 5. And so those, for some reason, those are just kind of like Power 5 coaching factories, as to where Coastal Carolina was. I didn't even know they existed. They're in Myrtle Beach. Yeah. Great place to live. Pretty good place to live.
Well, it used to
be. It used to be. So, if I were going to pick one group of 5 coach, it would definitely be him, because he built that culture, that program, into a really good culture and a really good program.
Right. By the way, if everybody on here would hit the like button, I would appreciate it. We got 101 people on here, man. That's great for my channel. For its channel the size of mine, 101 people is great. But Brandon Lewis says Tom Herman is a massive crybaby and doesn't seem like a good fit for WVU. See, Patrick Kelly says Rich Rod needs to get down on his knees and thank Pat White for his coaching success. That's hard to argue with.
I'll get down on my knees and thank Patrick White for our success.
That's hard. It's hard to argue with that statement, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah.
But I saw another comment here that disagreed with that, I think. Oh, it says Boxcar Porn Star, which I love, by the way. That's a cool name. It says Rich Rod gave Pat the opportunity to play QB. He actually didn't. He kept choosing Adam Bednarik over Pat White. Pat White was 1 week away from leaving the team and going to play professional baseball. Had Adam Bednarik not gotten hurt in that game, Pat White was leaving the team. And he said that in an interview with his own mouth.
Yeah.
Because he had already gotten drafted into the pros, and he kept picking college football, but yet Coach Rodriguez kept playing Adam Bednarik over him every week. And he told his dad, he said, "Dad, send me my glove, I'm leaving." And his dad said, "No, stay 1 more week. You practice all week like you're the starting quarterback. And if he don't give you an opportunity, then I'll send you your glove." Lo and behold, Adam Bednarik gets injured. Pat White comes in the Louisville game. The rest is history. So I actually think Rich Rod may have been missing the boat there a little bit and not recognizing that Pat should have been the starter. And the only reason he put him in was because of Bednarik's injury. But to play devil's advocate to my own argument, he also recruited Pat as a quarterback when nobody else would. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to give him some credit for that.
Yeah. Coming out of Daphne, he was looked at as a safety.
And Rich Rod's scheme enabled him to have the success he had.
Yes. And it was brand new at the time. It was just everything happened at the right time, Pat. Yeah. Have you got my link by chance?
Your link?
Yes.
Oh, to your channel?
Yes.
No, but I can put it in here real quick.
Oh.
I think I can. Well, if I do, it'll take me off the broadcast.
Well, don't worry about it. You just tell them. Just tell them at some point.
Everybody go check Paul's channel out. I'll be honest, I assumed everybody knew you, but maybe this is Mountaineer Paul. He has his own channel. I don't know how to do that. I'm trying to think if it'll let me do that and still stay on here.
Well,
can y'all still see me? Hello?
I can, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll find your link, man. I didn't know. I was afraid if I did that, it would kick me out.
Oh, gotcha. Last I checked, I was at 199 subscribers. So if nobody since the game happened has subscribed, somebody could be number 200.
There you go. Yeah, give Paul his 200 subscriber, guys. If you haven't yet, he's doing a lot of great Mountaineer content. He's had some really cool interviews.
I've only been out for like a month on this channel, so I haven't. It's still fairly new.
You now have 200, Paul. I'm looking right now.
I've got 200. Okay. Well, thank you to whoever that. Huh?
I'm still going to share your link though.
Yeah. Thank you to whoever. If somebody was in here and they did that, I appreciate that. I know we may, like I said this before, but I know we may not always agree, Mountaineer Nation. But just know that I love West Virginia. I've got them tatted right here on my chest. I love them just like you guys do. My dad's initials are right in that flying WV. And, I'm a West Virginia boy, born and raised, and very proud of my heritage. So while we not always agree on the football, we can all agree on being West Virginia boys and loving this state and university.
Yeah. Paul Gee says, love Coos, GBD, and Mountaineer Paul. Thank Paul Gee. We appreciate your support, my man.
Yep.
And guys, I put a link to Paul's channel right here above Paul Gee's comment. If y'all want to sub it up. And Heike Johnson put in his comment here. Thank you, Heike. It's the first time I've seen you on here, man. That I've seen you on a live stream anyway. He says, thank you for hopping on. Says, scheme wasn't brand new. We had been running the same stuff 3 years before Pat got to campus. No, I agree with that. I didn't mean it was new. I just meant that Rich Rod had the knowledge to know that Pat White was the perfect quarterback for his scheme, and he was able to use that scheme. But at the same time, he was, for whatever reason, he thought Adam Bednarik was the guy.
Right.
Big Dan T says, Avon Coburn said some things in your interview that I think pertains to our current situation. He did. For anybody who don't know, I did an interview with Avon Coburn, the leading rusher in West Virginia and Big East Conference history. Has over 5,000 yards. He's actually top 25 in the NCAA history, and I didn't know that until I was doing my research. He's got more rushing yards than Bo Jackson, Edgerrin James, college rushing yards, obviously. Bo Jackson, Edgerrin James, Thurman Thomas. I mean, there's a whole litany, Marshall Faulk, a whole litany of NFL backs, Hall of Fame NFL backs, that he has more rushing yards than in college. Didn't work out for him in NFL, but he did make the NFL now. So he was able to make a roster and play and actually got some carries. But I interviewed him, and it was only for the full interview is available to only channel members, people who are members of my channel. I'm going to put some cut-ups of that interview out, though, for the public. But to get the full interview, you have to be a member of the channel. I'm going to start doing a little bit more of that because my members need, they need to get something for their money. So, and that's one of the perks of being a member. But I will give everyone some access to portions of that interview. But yeah, he talked a little bit about today's team, and he also talked about the transition. So he played during the transition from Don Nealon to Rich Rod, and he actually talks a little bit about that in that interview. The differences.
Be interesting.
The reason I thought that was relevant was because we were talking about Rich Rod. Just subscribe to Paul, Andrew Starcher.
Thanks Andrew. Buddy. Appreciate that, man. And you guys, man, Coos is really good about answering all the comments, but this dude's got a family to raise. This is he does a lot of this, You guys can do it, man. Send him a super chat or two, man. He's one of the best content creators out here, man. And this, this takes a lot of time and effort to do, guys. It really does. It's hard for the person themselves to ask, So I figured I'd do it for him.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, I'll throw it out there, but I'll be honest, I still feel uncomfortable doing it. A little bit, I'll be honest. But it is part of the business. It's part of doing this. And so you can't be shy because a lot of people don't. Because a lot of people really don't know how that works. You know what I'm saying? There might be people out there who want to send money and just don't know how to do it. I don't harp on it. I might mention it a time or two and then just leave it be. But yeah, if you want to make sure I see your chat, because there is 90 people on here, so it's hard to see them all. If you want to make sure I see your chat and put it on the screen and read it, you can make a small donation and along with your chat, and it'll highlight it on the screen for me, and I'll see it. But Tonga's Pitt says App State is probably playing one of their worst games against winless FCS Robert Morris out of Pittsburgh, only winning 14-3. Wow.
That's pretty rough.
Got a couple of people here who want Gibby back. Got Charlie Brown who wants Gibby. And then I got
Gibby's not. I mean, I don't think any Mountaineer would be mad at Gibby.
Yeah, I would have no issue with it. My first choice would be somebody like Matt Rule or somebody that has P5 experience, but Gibby's not a bad second option.
What about Doc Holliday?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't
just
hate
throwing
it.
it out there.
No, I wouldn't.
Just throwing it out there.
Wouldn't be my favorite choice because Doc Holiday's already up in age, and I don't know how many years he's got left to coach.
Yeah,
there had to
he
be
was a lot hotter.
There had to be a reason to fire him from Marshall. I don't know what it was because he was winning. But I don't really exactly know. But Matt Shrewsbury says, "Do you see them firing Leslie? Probably so. I'll be honest with you. I think the whole staff's going to probably get canned.
House is going to get clean, buddy.
I got a feeling at the end of the year." Patrick Pepper says, "Why are we not considering Pat White? He's been coaching for a bit, and now he is coaching NFL." Yeah, actually, I think Paul did a video.
I did. Yeah, I just did a video on that.
Where he gave Pat White some love. So y'all go check Paul's channel out. He talks about that. But yeah, not a bad. Not there again. Not my first choice, but I wouldn't mind bringing him in as like an offensive coordinator or something. Maybe I don't know that I'd give him head. I don't think he has enough experience yet to be a head coach. But hey, man.
Yeah, I know it would be a big jump the gun move.
Yeah,
but just thinking with my heart, if Pat White wanted to come back and coach West Virginia football, man, and he's a guy that would resonate with the kids today. He's a young guy. He's younger than we are. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, Sorgy Story says, "I've been subbed to Coos for a while, but I just subbed to you, Paul."
Oh, thanks, Sorgy. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I just my phone's been beeping. You guys are subbing me up here. I appreciate that. I'm going to be doing this for a long time into college basketball season. Coos and I, we talk a lot on the side, and we got plans for all kinds of stuff later, whether that be together, separate. But we'll probably end up working together on a project before too long as well, I think.
Yeah, we'll be working together some. Lord Raiden, man, I appreciate it. He says, "I don't have anything to do with West Virginia or the Big 12, but I subscribe to Coos because he's level-headed and realistic." Thank you, brother. I try to be.
Yeah, man. Listen, I completely agree with that. There's no reason to subscribe to somebody if you're not going to watch their stuff. All that does is gives them an extra number in the subscriber box, and when you read your analytics, the numbers come back odd or different. So I'm completely okay with that, man. You like who you like on this app.
Yeah. Paul Gee says Uncle Gordon needs to grab a big broom. Change is coming.
Uncle Gordon. A bow tie shaped broom.
Patrick Pepper says, "Hell, Howard Martinsburg's coach. They had a good run. Actually, he's already been scooped up. Concord University hired him.
Did they really?
Yeah, sure did.
I did not know that.
Yep,
they did have a good run.
That was a couple years ago. Lord Raiden says, "Patrick Pepper, don't create a Scott Frost situation. Also, beware of the NFL, college, and vice versa switch." Duke Silver Surfer says, "What about Luke Fickell? It'd be great, but I heard a Cincinnati reporter in an interview on 365 Sports say that Luke Fickell actually had a chance at the West Virginia job when they hired Brown.
He did.
So
he did, yeah.
He was actually Gordon Gee's first
down.
choice. Luke Fickell was Gordon Gee's choice because Luke, he played for he coached at Ohio State while Gordon Gee was the president there. So Gordon Gee wanted him.
It was also, from what I read, could have been done, but financially it would have had to make more sense than it did. So
and also
they'd had to offer him more money.
Right. I think that was a part of it. And also Catholic. He's a very devout Catholic, and Cincinnati is basically a Catholic culture, and they have a lot of Catholic schools. He's got 5 or 6 kids or something. He's got a lot of kids, and he sends his kids to Catholic school. And apparently Morgantown either doesn't have enough or doesn't have any, or I don't know the details. But he wants to go somewhere where there's a lot of good Catholic schools and stuff. And they said he also loves Ohio. So according to the quote unquote experts, the only 2 jobs he would leave Cincinnati for would be Ohio State or Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. It seems like the Leipold conversation's calmed down a lot here lately, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. I still think he's a good coach.
I still feel the same about him.
I know Golden Blue Dude wants West Virginia to go after him, but why would he leave Kansas to come here? I mean, no offense to us. It would be a lateral move. You know what I'm saying?
Would it? In what way, though? You just mean because we're both Big 12 teams?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to, yeah.
Okay. Because it's definitely not expectations or anything wise.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it wouldn't be lateral in that regard, yeah. I was just thinking about, going from one Big 12 school to another. Yeah.
And that may be how he looked at it.
Plus, he's a Big 12 guy. So, I mean, not a Midwest guy. So, I don't know that he would want to come east.
Yeah. If you dig into where Matt Rule, though, I mean, he was born in New York City, coached at Temple, lived in Pennsylvania. I mean, he really would be a good fit here if we could make it happen.
I think so too, man. I really do. Alan Aaron says Hugh Freeze don't want to come here because he signed an extension. Yeah, I agree. I actually heard that news yesterday, Alan. I think it was yesterday or day before. Maybe the day before.
What about it? The Hugh Freeze extension?
Yeah.
Yeah, here's all that was, man. I actually talked to a few people that were in the know on this.
Yeah.
So basically what it was is Hugh Freeze's representatives reached out to us. Am I right about that, Coos? You heard the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So what he did was he played us against them and got a big old extension. That's all we leveraged.
Yeah, so now what will happen?
I'm not saying there was no interest, but that's what happened.
Yeah, so now what happens is if he does decide he wants to leave Liberty, somebody's going to have to pay him a crap load of money to do it.
Yes.
More than he's making.
He makes more than Neil Brown now.
He does. He makes right around $5 million a year. And
that's top 50. Top 45 or 50.
Yeah. Hey, John Waffle, HTP. Do you know he's getting fired? We don't know. We're just saying if he does get fired. We think he's going to get fired, and I've heard from some pretty reliable sources that it's pretty much been decided at this point. But that being said, those same sources also told me Hugh Freeze was probably coming here. So, but now let me be clear. The one really good source I trust only said there was interest about Hugh Freeze coming here. He never said he was actually going to come here. So I want to make sure I clarify that. Looks like a lot of people are saying Leipold. They think Leipold will end up at Wisconsin. It's good. That's very, very possible. Well, guys, listen. I've been on here an hour and 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to jump off. Paul, one more time, man. Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Do West Virginia Mountaineers football and basketball content there. I'm also I'm starting a new series with women in the sports. I've actually got my first interview lined up, so it's going to be exciting. But I'm going to be interviewing women in the sports debate and journalism field, just about how it is to be a woman in this world that are basically controlled by men. How does it feel to go up against the big boys each and every day, stuff like that. So it's going to be exciting to talk about that stuff. We've got some exciting people that we're reaching out to.
Somebody on here asked me where I went to high school, and I meant to answer that and forgot. Trying to find it. I was going through
Tug Valley.
Huh?
Tug Valley.
I went to Pikeview High School for whoever was asking, and I apologize that I was going back through to find it, and I can't find it. There's just too many for me to keep up with. I went to Pikeview High School in Mercer County. Is where I went to school. Graduated in 1999. So I'm an old guy.
No.
I missed this chat by Robert. He says, I have been a WVU fan since I was 6. I am 73 now. I have never been so down. There seems to be no direction, enthusiasm as a team, no togetherness, or all-out will to win. Sad.
Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, appreciate the support, man. Some of that I see. I do see a will to win by some of the guys out there, that the togetherness, I don't know. It's hard to see that watching on TV unless you're really in the locker room. It's hard to gauge that. I know the announcer said there was some finger pointing today by the defense, but that's going to happen at times. It's an emotional game. Guys get emotional. So I don't know that that's a trend, but yeah, I mean, I tell you what, in that Texas Tech game, it really looked that way. I ain't gonna lie. But today, I thought the guys showed up today and played hard. I really did. I just think we just struggled to execute. And some of the coaching decisions are really, really head scratching. But anyway, listen, guys, I'm gonna jump off of here. Oh, James Stallnecker is the one that asked about high school. There it is. Pikeview High School in Mercer County, and Paul went to Tug Valley High School
in Mingo County.
The coal fields.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, listen, we're gonna hop off of here. There's more football to watch today, and I have another video to work on as well that I think you guys are really gonna like. I got a call this morning with some really good information that you guys are probably going to want to hear that relates to our current situation. But anyway, I'm not going to give it away. So that being said, Paul, one more time.
Let's go.
Paul Talks Football. Check him out, guys, on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't. And with all that said, as always, I close everything out with this. Q Country Roads.